Welcome, welcome, welcome to everyone who is joining our webinar this evening. My name is Ben Bernstein. I am the founder and artistic director of the Singers Gym. The Singers Gym is a nonprofit we've been in existence for over 27 years to give singers the experience of the joy of singing. And we are so delighted to be collaborating in this very unique travel experience, which you're going to hear all about, with the AmaViola program out of the San Francisco Opera. And I'd like to invite on my collaborator, one of my three collaborators, Jean Kellogg, the current executive director of the AmaViola program, to introduce our other co-hosts. Welcome, Jean.
Thank you, Ben. I'm delighted to be collaborating with the Singers Gym. AmaViola is very happy to reestablish a connection with you. And a number of years ago, when you worked with the Adler Fellows at San Francisco Opera and with our fabulous artistic team at that time. AmaViola is one of the great young artist training programs in the world. And we are thrilled to be able to collaborate with Singers Gym, who I call a mini AmaViola. With what they do is fantastic for the artists. And Sherry Greenewald and Mark Morash will talk more about that as they have experienced it firsthand. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce my former colleagues at San Francisco Opera, Sherry Greenewald, who is the artistic director, and Mark Morash, who was the director of musical studies there. Sherry, Mark?
Hello, Jean. Hello, Ben.
Hi, Jean. Hi, both. Hi, everybody. Jean says, our former colleagues, but permanently friends.
Exactly.
Very permanently friends. Absolutely. Well, I'm delighted to be able to join these friends again, because indeed, training young singers is what it's all about. And Mark and I continue to do that. Mark, you're busy doing that.
We're busy at it. I mean, this is the thrill of it, is a chance for Sherry and I to be back together doing this, and of course with Ben, who is Ben and I do the Singers Gym together. But the idea of seeing all you folks out there who are old friends of ours, and hopefully some new friends of ours that we're going to go share this experience with, it's all very exciting.
Yes. And I mean, I just am excited also to see that part of the world. I lived in Europe for 11 years, but I never got to the Eastern Europe. I don't know why. I got to Salzburg once, but I never got to Vienna for some strange reason. So I'm very excited for all of this.
Me too. I can't wait. Very exciting stuff that we're about to hear about.
So what you're about to hear about is a truly extraordinary travel experience in which the guests on this terrific climb from Budapest to Vienna, you're going to experience how opera is actually made. We have titled this experience, Opera Lovers, A Peek Behind the Curtain. If you love opera, you're going to have a chance to see how we, the four of us, actually work with very talented singers over the course of sailing from Budapest to Vienna. So to get us into the actual time of 9 days on the ship, I'm going to call our fantastic travel advisor, Sandy Lipkowitz, the owner of We Make Travel Easy, and she's going to start us off on this incredible journey. Sandy, welcome. We're so happy you're here.
Ben, thank you so much. I mean, I'm just honored to be able to work with such esteemed singers and people involved in opera. I mean, it's la creme de la creme. This is very, very exciting. And it's going to be very exciting for everyone who joins us on this amazing journey from iconic opera house to iconic opera house, from Budapest to Vienna. I mean, these are some of the most major opera houses in all of Europe. So let's take a look. I'm going to share my screen right now, and we're going to go through it day by day so you can really get a feel for this amazing experience and what you're going to see and what you're going to do on this once in a lifetime, never before done experience. So I'm just share my screen. Okay, so this is where we're going to, the name of our trip and your little things that you're going to see. And this is me. I own We Make Travel Easy, and I've always said that some of the most extraordinary travel times happen when you least expect it. For those of you who may not know me, I just wanted to assure you that you are in good hands. I am on the top travel specialist for Condé Nast. We're Virtuoso. We're part of Forbes Travel Guide. So you are going to be in great hands, and everything is going to go very smoothly, and you'll have an absolutely wonderful time. So let's look at the itinerary. Well, before we do that, you've met Ben and Jean and Sherry and Mark. So these are the VIPs. They're actually going to be on board with you. So you're going to be up close and personal with these amazing folks, and it's just going to be a fabulous time. So let's look at it day by day so you'll get an idea of what's going to happen. So you will arrive in Budapest on October 31st, 2024. Budapest is a beautiful, wonderful city, and you're going to check into the gorgeous Four Seasons Gresham Palace Hotel, which is one of my most favorite hotels. And you'll get time, you'll check in, you'll relax, and in the evening, we're going to have a welcome cocktail reception. So you'll be able to meet all the singers, and you'll be able to meet Ben and Jean and Sherry and Mark all up front and personal, and just get to feel comfortable. So the next morning, you'll wake up and you're going to get a tour of the amazing city of Budapest. And Budapest is separated into two parts. Buda is the hilly part where you can see the couple in the lower right-hand corner looking down at the river, and maybe that's even our boat, and the city past the flat part. So we'll have a nice tour, come back to the ship for lunch, and the afternoon come back to the hotel for lunch, and you will have the first opera program, opening the treasure chest, exploring the score. So Ben, tell us a little bit more about what's going to happen then.
Sure. So in our quest to bring you the actual process by which opera is made, we start with the score. So many of you may have been to an opera master class over time. I want to tell you immediately, this is not a master class. This is like singers in the process of working on something toward a production. And that's what the process you're going to be involved with. So I'm going to ask Mark to come on and talk about this very first program, which is about plunging in to the score. Mark, take it away.
Well, I feel very excited indeed to be able to to look after day one, which is exploring the score. This is really the brick and mortar of everything we do in opera. Is that you think of music as being something oral? Well, in fact, the way it's documented is in a score with dots on the page, and that's how it all gets deciphered. So this first day is going to be looking at the music that we're preparing for the final concert, and that the singers are bringing with them to the ship, and we're going to be looking at the score and looking at what the composer has actually set down. There is so much information in the score and so much that we have to process and integrate into our performance. There are issues of what are the tempo words? What are the tempo indications? What are the character words? Adagio, vivo, all those kinds of things that are on the music that we have to sort out what those mean. That we have lots of traditions in opera that we have to digest and know about, and then decide, is that tradition already outmoded, something that just bad singers promulgated, or is it something that we need to follow up on and figure out why that's there? Sometimes things need to be decoded in the score. For instance, in a Handel aria, in the orchestra part, you see piano and forte, soft and loud all the time. And really all that just is talking about, that's a cue for the orchestra. Piano is when the singer is singing, forte is when the singer is not singing. So all that kind of information changes depending on what period music we're looking at. So all of these details is how we start off. We make sure that we're honoring the score and gleaning everything that can be taken out of the score that the singer can bring to it with all that information, so that they are moving forward confidently within the confines of the rules of the music, if you will. I think that's probably about everything I can tell you about day one. Back to you, Ben.
Sounds absolutely great, Mark. The score is a treasure chest. And even if, whether you read music or you don't read music, you're going to have such an informative immersion in how music actually is written, how it happens. And we're going to be working with 4 very, very talented singers who come from the ranks of the AmaViola program. Jean, I think a little bit understated, AmaViola is probably the foremost young artist program in the world. And many great artists have come out of that program. And we're going to be able to work with some terrific young singers from the program in the course of the itinerary. And here's the itinerary, back to Sandy.
Okay, so let me share my screen again. So now you had a little taste about the score, and you're going to be able to go to a performance at the Opera House that night. Of course, it'll be we don't know what the schedule is on the in 2024 just yet, but we will go to a performance. So you'll already have a little taste of what to look for, and then we'll go to a performance. So we'll go back to the lovely Four Seasons that night. And then the next morning, we'll all be checking out. What you'll be doing is you'll be leaving your luggage outside the door of your room. It will be collected and taken to the ship. And that morning, we will go on a tour of the magnificent opera house that you just saw a performance in the night before. And we'll also visit the Liszt Museum, Franz Liszt Museum. Then we will go to the Great Market Hall, which is a wonderful food hall in Budapest. And everybody knows that paprika is something that the Hungarian people really enjoy. You will see paprika in every shape, form, size, whatever. This will be a great place to buy souvenirs, especially for your foodie friends. And after lunch, you will make your way to the ship. The ship is very close to where the market hall is, so you can kind of take a little walk after lunch and go to the ship. And when you arrive at the ship, by then your bags will most likely be in your cabin. So you can unpack, relax, and we'll have a lovely dinner on board that night. The next morning, we're still going to be in Budapest, and Budapest has an amazing history, Jewish history, and some amazing buildings. The synagogue itself, the Doheny Synagogue, is just an amazing piece of architecture. And behind it is the Raoul Wallenberg Memorial Park. And Raoul Wallenberg was a Swedish diplomat who saved many, many lives during World War II by falsifying documents and getting people out of Hungary. And then behind there is the Tree of Life Memorial, which was actually designed by a sculptor in the late 90s and financed by Tony Curtis, of all people. And there's 6,000 leaves, which represents the 6,000 Hungarians, both Jews and non-Jews, that perished during the Holocaust. So it's going to be a very moving and yet beautiful morning. And then in the afternoon, we'll have program 2. And now we'll already have seen space brought to life. So now we're going to see, how do you bring an opera space to life? So Ben, tell us how that happens.
Yeah, I love what you just said, Sandy, about space to life, because we're going to be in these magnificent spaces. And the next part of our deep dive into how opera is made is to look at the space. What's the space that the singer is singing in? It may look like an opera house, but I'm going to ask Sherry to come on and really talk in more detail about the whole aspect of space and bringing space alive. Sherry.
Well, space is so interesting because opera singers generally are rehearsing in barns. As I always say, Lenny Bernstein and I spent a lot of time in a car emporium together. We are rehearsing in generic areas, and we have to use our imagination to create the atmosphere that we need for the opera to come to life for ourselves. We are often provided with chairs, the chair that we may need, but we have to use our imagination tremendously. But that's just the space of the architecture. But there's also a space between human beings, and we have to create the relationship through space as well. There's that whole issue of there's a way of dominating on stage through space. You will often get a chuckle if you watch certain singers on stage. Some singers keep moving up stage of their partners because that's a domination. You're dominating your partner by moving up stage of them because you can keep on singing out and you're forcing them to sing upstage. So that's issues of space. And you create space, you know, the closer you are together, you're creating an intimacy. So space is about intimacy or adversity. So space is tremendously important. And so we will, you know, you will see us create the architecture of relationships and of the actual scene itself, the architecture of the space of the time, right? Ben?
Yeah, definitely. It's really about, as you were saying, it's really about bringing the imagination to life. And what we have found is when the singer is fully in her imagination, whatever she is seeing, we are singing. And you'll be able to see how this actually happens. It's quite a phenomenon. The more singers are in what they're singing, it's not just about making a great tone or great sound. It's about fully being immersed in it. So that's what our work is all about. Another part of the immersion is the opportunity for some of the guests to be part of the singing. If you always want to be in an opera, you're going to have an opportunity to actually be in the chorus. So to talk more about that and another super extra bonus that we're going to have on this particular journey, Jean, please come on and tell us about that.
So thank you, Ben. Well, not only are you going to be able to observe, but this is an experiential opera tour. And not only can you sing in the chorus and be taught the chorus of whatever opera they're going to be presenting on the trip, but you have the opportunity to, shall I say, upstage the rest of the passengers by having voice lessons with Sherry, personal voice lessons with Sherry, accompanied by yours truly. If you have never experienced what Sherry can do as a voice teacher, you are in for a treat. And it's not just the singers that she works with and, you know, very high level singers. Sherry is so gifted at working with so many people at every stage of their career or their just avocation. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Sherry and I, when we get together, we do nothing but laugh and have a great time. We'll not be laughing at you, but we will be having a wonderful time, helping you get to the next level of your vocal career, whatever that may be.
It's always fun. Anyone can sing. Everyone can sing. Everyone can sing.
Sure.
I'm very glad you're saying that, because sometimes we get people in all of our work, you know, we run into people who say, oh, I can't sing. Everyone can sing. But no one's going to be required to sing. And in fact,
No.
If you want to be in the opera, in one of the numbers with the chorus, and you don't want to sing, guess what? You can be what's called a supernumerary. And that's a person who is on stage, part of the action, but not singing. Usually holding spears. I don't think we're going to have any spears on this trip, but you will be able to really be involved. And we just want anyone who wants to be involved. And you know, the last thing I want to say too is if you're an audience member, you're so vital, you are involved also. So this is where we are in day 2 program. We can move on, I think, Sandy, to now the rest of the itinerary.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we had this lovely program, and now we're going to move on to the next day. So we're going to sail down the gorgeous Danube, and we're going to go to Bratislava in Slovakia. And Bratislava was known as the City of Kings. There was a coronations of 11 crowning ceremonies for Hungarian kings and queens between the 15 and 1800s. So that's quite a lot. But let's say, you know, you're that's not your thing, and you might like to try another option, which we call a Taste of Slovakia tour. And that will be getting to try different beers and different sausages. So that's a little foodie tour for our foodie people who might prefer to do that. And we always have bikes on the ship. That's very wonderful. You can either take a bike and go off on your own, Or we will always, on certain days, we will have tours. And so they will be led by someone who will take you around. And instead of doing a walking tour, you'll have a bike tour. So there's lots of options for things to do. And if you're traveling with someone who may not be as opera oriented as you are, there's going to be lots of things for them to enjoy as well. So everyone is welcomed. It's going to be a great time. In the afternoon, when we'll come back on the ship, we'll have a lovely lunch, and then we're going to sail through Austria's beautiful Wachau Valley to Milk. The Wachau Valley is a major wine growing region, and it's just really stunning. It's the Danube is the most picturesque river in Europe, so we will be sailing through some of the most beautiful parts. The next day, we will be in Milk, and which is the Benedictine Abbey is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I mean, it sits on top of this hill, and it's just beautiful and dramatic and gorgeous. And Maria Theresa, who was the only female ruler of the Habsburg Empire, used to come here. That was like in the late 1700s. She would come for 3 months at a time with 300 of her horsemen and her servants and her ladies in waiting and anybody else that she was bringing along for this visit. And you can see the long side of the abbey, the one that's on the far side behind the towers is where she would stay for all those months with all her people. And nowadays it's a beautiful museum. It has the most beautiful ritual objects to see and view. I mean, it's just stunning. And then there's a gorgeous library and chapel. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And the town is very charming as well. So it's a lovely, lovely stop. We'll come back to the ship, we'll have lunch, and then we're going to have opera program number 3, the intensity and character of the relationship. So Ben, tell us more about what that will be like.
Yeah, this is the next step of leading you and the singers into the process of making opera. We've gone through the score, looked at the treasure chest that is afforded the singers, and then we've gotten the singers into the space that they're singing in, whether it's a castle at night or by a lake or in a dungeon. But now is the time to embody this. So we do 2 things in this particular workshop. We work on embodying the character. Who are you playing? Who are you when you're singing? Are you a queen? Are you a peasant? Are you some magical creature? This embodiment of the character is actually a process in itself, and you'll get to see how singers come to embody the character that they're playing. Once you've embodied your character, the next challenge is what do you do with other characters that you're on stage with and that you're singing with? One of the things that we've all observed, and you may have observed this too, when 2 singers are singing on stage, is a phenomenon. If you watch carefully and listen carefully, the phenomenon is 2 people are singing. One is singing and just brilliant and out there, and the other is kind of glazed over and just waiting to sing. This doesn't happen with us. With us, everybody is completely involved. If you're on stage with somebody, you are in each word, in each musical phrase. Everything that they are doing and singing actually creates some kind of energy in you. And then when you respond in a duet, it's a full-bodied response. So you'll get to see how this happens, embodying the character, but then the characters dynamically working together. So it's quite an exciting afternoon in terms of the program, because now you're going to see it more and more come to life. And then we're ready to sail on.
Okay, God, this is so excited. Isn't it October 31st now? All right, so we've had our 4th program. And now the next day, this is one of my most favorite days on the itinerary. We are going to go to Salzburg, Mozart's home. And Salzburg is such a charming city. I mean, it's the old part is just gorgeous. I mean, that's where Mozart lived. There is a museum that's in his birth house. We'll get to see the old market. There's the beautiful gardens. The river runs through. I mean, it's just a full day excursion. It's really going to be lovely. And we are working on a very special surprise in the afternoon. So I can't tell you about it now, but it's going to be really wonderful if we're going to be able to pull this off for you. So then we'll come back to the ship that night for dinner, and the next day in the morning, we'll sail from Linz to Vienna. And in the afternoon, we'll have a city tour of the Opera House and the Schönberg Palace, which you see a picture of, which, by the way, just happened to be the summer palace. I don't know what your summer home looks like, but mine certainly doesn't look like this. And we'll go to the historic city center and see the famous St. Stephen's Cathedral. Now, some of you may be feeling like, I need a little more exercise. I've been eating all these fabulous meals on board the ship, and I'd rather do it by bike. Vienna is very flat. It's a great place to bike through, and they're very advanced technology on their traffic lights. They're smart lights, and they stop and start whenever people are at the corners. So it's very good place to do bikes. Or if maybe you've been to Vienna before and seen some of these things and you want to do something different, we all talk about Viennese coffee and the Sachertorte. So we will have another foodie little tour for those of the people who would rather go and do some Viennese cafeing. And we'll come back to the ship and we'll have dinner, and then the performance. This is so exciting. Ben, tell us about the performance.
Oh, I can't wait to tell you all about the performance. Except I'm a little stuck in that summer palace. I think that's really is one of those summer palaces. Okay, so the performance, this is what we've all been building toward and what we're all waiting for. And you're going to have a chance to experience firsthand, behind the scenes, what it's like to be preparing for performance, and then right before, everyone's on stage, to be there, curtain up, and then we perform. So now I'd like to invite all of my colleagues back on, Jean, Mark, Sherry, to talk about this performance. What happens that night when we perform? So Sherry, I'm going to start with you. What does performance ring a bell for you?
Well, I always enjoyed performing. I liked it. You get a little adrenaline rush, you have that adrenaline buildup, but I always enjoyed it. I mean, if you know what you're doing, if you rehearsed enough that you're not fumbling for words or, oh, how does it start again? It's fun. I mean, you should feel like opening a bottle of champagne. That's what it's like, I think.
That's so beautiful. One of my principal teachers used to say, this is like inviting people into your home for a party. And that's exactly what. Mark, please tell us about your experience of performance.
Well, I think what's fascinating about this performance is that everybody will have seen the steps of integration along the way. That's what makes this so special, is not only are you seeing a performance, you will have had the opportunity over the past, the previous cruise days to actually have experienced sort of what the artistic choices are or what the discussion is. And I think that's what's fascinating. And you'll find, I'll tell you something else, is that when the singers know who's in the audience, I think it makes them more nervous. So it sort of heightens the whole thing. So it's a wonderful chance for them, because they'll always sing under pressure. And so this, having gotten to know everybody on the cruise, on the ship all this time, they'll be singing for friends of theirs, and it really raises the stakes for them, which I think is so important. And you'll find that some things get executed beautifully, and other things, maybe in the moment, the heat of the moment, they don't happen. But maybe that doesn't matter. It's just one point along the continuum of performing, and that's what you're going to be there to see. And it's so tremendously exciting to watch.
That's absolutely true. The show goes on, and we really say what that's like. Jean, you've had so many experiences with performances and watching them and getting ready. Please tell us.
Well, as a longtime observer for young artists in rehearsals and performances, the one great thing about live performances is it's never the same. No matter what you see, there's always a difference. There's they get very excited in front of an audience. The adrenaline starts moving, so you'll see a lot more energy in a performance than you will in rehearsals. And you just never know what's going to happen. So it's like a soap opera, as a matter of fact. You never know what's going to happen on that stage at the last minute, which makes it so intriguing and why people are so fascinated with opera.
Before years and years ago, I was the assistant director to Giancarlo Menotti at the Juilliard School. And I remember Giancarlo, right before one performance on an opening night, he looked at me, he says, "This is like the cake coming out of the oven. You don't know what it's going to be like." So you open it up and there it is. And it's so exciting. So Sandy, this is the culmination of our work, but it's not the end of the tour. So please continue.
No, it's not the end. So we don't have to leave just yet. We still have another day to enjoy. So let's see what happens afterwards. So we'll have another morning in Vienna. And before, when I mentioned the bikes, you can see how flat Vienna is and how beautiful it would be to take a bike ride if that was something you wanted to do. We are going to have a tour in the morning in the footsteps of Mozart, Beethoven, and Schubert. And then we'll visit the famous Vienna Opera House, which is the world's largest repertory operation. It's just beautifully amazing. And it'll be interesting to compare it to Budapest, because the Budapest Opera House was a smaller copy of the Vienna Opera House. And there's a lot more lore around that. And I'll leave that for the tour guide to tell you in Budapest. The afternoon will be free to explore on your own. You might want to bring some gifts or some souvenirs, do a little shopping in Vienna before you get ready to go home. And if you haven't had enough of Vienna, I'm hoping that you're going to opt to stay one more night to be able to see a performance in the fabulous, gorgeous Vienna Opera House. So the next morning, we have to say goodbye to our friends who are leaving us after such a fabulous 10 days together. Or some of you, which I hope will be almost all of you, would decide to stay one more night and see a performance in this fabulous, iconic opera house. Again, we don't know what will be on stage at that time, but we will see a performance, and we'll be staying in a beautiful 5-star hotel, if not across the street from the opera house, within a 5-minute walk. So that's the itinerary. So what I want to do is give you a little bit more information on what your accommodations and what you're going to experience. So we're going to start off at the beautiful Four Seasons Gresham Palace. We're back in Budapest, and you can see how stunning the building is. Budapest was the financial center of Europe in the late 1800s. And, you know, part of the way that companies established their wealth were building these amazing, gorgeous buildings. And so it was from that time and converted into this gorgeous hotel. And you can see on the right-hand side how lovely the rooms are in the hotel. And it's just Four Seasons, first-class service. It's really, really amazing. Then we'll leave the Four Seasons and we will begin our cruise with AmaVola. Some of you may or may not be familiar with AmaVola, but to me, it's one of my favorite river cruise lines, definitely the way to go. So here's a little bit to give you a little background on AmaVola.
We grew up on the rivers in Europe. Rudi, our president, was born in Vienna on the Danube River, and I was born in Dresden on the Elbe River. And we couldn't be more excited to come back to the rivers to show our European heritage. I'm Christine Karst, co-founder and co-owner of AmaVola. Our ships are very intimate and accommodate an average of about 150 guests on board. Yet we offer the luxury of space. We offer twin balcony staterooms, that's our signature. One outside balcony and our French balcony to really give our guests a very, very comfortable stateroom. And once the ship starts sailing, it's calm waters all the way. You can see so much when you step on board from grand capitals of Europe, quaint villages. We are going through multiple countries and you physically double your leisure time. We take care of everything. Food and wine is extremely important for us. We are very proud of our multiple dining venue, from our main restaurant to our chef's table, where we serve a very special tasting menu, to some dining venues on our sun deck. Best of all, our sommeliers have hand-selected the finest local wines that we include with our compliments for lunch and dinner, as well as served during our complimentary sip and sail hour. Personalization is so important for our guests, and we are very proud to include in every port multiple shore excursions. This could be gentle walking tours, active hiking and biking tours, tours for our late risers, and special theme tours. I'm personally very passionate about wellness. We offer daily wellness activities starting with core and stretching in the morning, yoga on the sun deck, spinning with a view, to dance classes. The best part of our river cruise experience, and why so many guests are returning year after year, is our crew. They are so passionate, so warm-hearted. Our crew and cruise managers always go above and beyond to make sure you have the most magical and memorable river cruise experience. We look forward to welcoming you on board our ships very soon.
Well, you can see how special Ama is and all the attention to detail, and they've won awards for their food, and it's really a wonderful experience. I want to go through the cabins a little bit because I know it's a little confusing on the sign-up page just to understand what everything is. So if you look at the upper left-hand corner, that's what we call a fixed window. Those are the smallest cabins. And the only window that you have are the ones high up, and those cabins where the windows are about the water line. These are great for single occupants or a couple that doesn't mind being in a little more close quarters. So that's the fixed window. If you look at the upper left-hand corner, that's what we call a French balcony. So you have floor-to-ceiling sliding glass doors, but there really is no balcony outside. It's about 6 inches, so you can lean out, you can take a great photo, but it's not something that you can sit out on. And then Christine talked about the twin balconies. So if you look at the lower right-hand corner, you'll see the bed and you'll see the 2 chairs. Those are what we call the inside balcony. That's glass enclosed, and so if it's cool and you still want to watch the river go by in the privacy of your cabin, you've got glass enclosed area and you can sit in the chairs. Between the bed and the chairs that you see, that's where the door is to go out, and there's actually a balcony out there with the chairs and tables, and you can actually, if it happens to be a nice warm day, or you put a scarf on or something and you want to sit out there and have some wine, that's a lovely place to do it. If you look at the lower right-hand corner, if you kind of put that together with the twin balcony, is really the suite. So the suite has a sitting area that also has the bed and the twin balconies. It was a little hard to put it all in one photo, but that should give you an idea of what a suite is like. So one of the things that we've been talked about is the Singers Gym and the Marilla Opera Program. And this is a fundraising experience. And we are asking people to make a donation to both of these organizations. Both are 501(c) nonprofits. So your donation goes directly to the nonprofit. There's nothing, it's a direct IRS transaction. So it's totally a write-off against your taxes. So I'm going to let Ben and Jean talk a little bit more about each of their company, their organizations, so that you can know a little bit more about what you will be supporting.
Thank you, Sandy. So the Singers Gym, as I mentioned, we are in existence for about 27 years or so, and we have worked with, trained in this method that we have just outlined for our travel experience. We've trained 600 or 700 singers over the course of that time who have gone on to programs like Marilla, other young artist programs around the world. We do depend upon support. Support comes in a couple of ways. One is different foundations that we apply to on a regular basis, but a big source of our support are our individual donors. And this does provide a wonderful opportunity for all of you who are coming on board to actually support singers because they need it, and to support our program because we need it to continue to grow. The other thing I would say about the Singers Gym too is that we're branching out. We have other programs than opera singers. Right now, we have launched a program for community sing-alongs in retirement homes. These are wonderful programs, and we need support for those as well. So the Singers Gym is branching out because our mission is to foster the joy of singing in everyone. So the more you get into supporting us, the more we can provide for all of you. Jean, maybe you can say a few words about Maryland.
Certainly, for over 65 years, Marilla has provided intensive training to approximately 30 young artists every summer during a 11 and 12 week period of time. The entire summer is free of cost to them, including their travel and housing and even attire. All of their voice lessons, all of their coachings, all of the productions that they are in come to them at no cost. In addition, once they graduate from Marilla, they have the opportunity to apply for up to $12,000 in career grants over the next 5 years to support their careers. They don't have to work 3 jobs at a time, but can actually go out and do auditions and competitions over in Europe and apply for anything that might be appropriate to their career, their future career. We have the who's list of opera singers have been through Marilla from the ages, and all you have to do is to go on our website www.marilla.org and look under artist alumni, and you will see who has been in this program. It's just been absolutely amazing, and in large part to Mark and Sherry, who have gave over 20 years of their life to this organization, and it's just been spectacular. I have been with them for 12 years, and I am so enjoying seeing those who started out early, in the early part of my career, having stellar successes all over the world. I was just looking to see that we have now over 35 appearing at the Met this year alone of our Marilla alums. So that's what Marilla is, and we accept people from all walks of life from all over the world. And so we're excited to be a partner in this and to share some of that talent with you on this trip.
Thank you so much, Jean. Before we move on, we're going to have a time to answer questions. So if you have a question.
No, Ben, wait.
I'm just saying, Sandy, I'm just inviting people to put their questions in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to let you know in the feeling of we're approaching Thanksgiving, and I wanted to let you know that we're thankful for the time that you took, and if you sign up for your cabin before November 30th, we will offer you a gift of $250 per person as a discount off of the cost of the trip. And we would love for you to invite your friends and family that you think would enjoy sharing this amazing opera party on the Danube. And we will also offer the extension, a thankful gift to them as well. So when you're spending Thanksgiving with people that you love and you care about, talk about it, invite them. Well, how wonderful to have this wonderful travel experience to share together, and the gift of opera. And speaking of gifts, maybe this is a nice holiday present for that very special person in your life. So there's lots of things that you can do. In the chat is a link that you can copy to sign up for this experience. I would encourage you to sign up sooner than later because cabins are going And if you want to pick the best one that you like the best, now's the time to do it. So we're going to go to questions now. Just as a little bit of information, if you need to contact me, I think that's also in the chat as well. So if you want to copy down an email or something for any questions, but let's go and look at the questions that might have appeared in the chat.
Sure. So I just want to underline what Sandy just said about calling her. She is absolutely the travel expert. And any questions that you have, we've been getting questions ourselves. We always send people directly to Sandy because she can answer them very authoritatively. So Sandy, there are a couple of questions I'd like to actually start off with you. One is, what kind of weather can we expect?
Well, it's going to be the beginning of November. And for those of you that live in San Francisco, you'll feel right at home. It'll probably be in the, upper 50s, low 60s. Now, I'm saying that, and I can't talk about global warming because all these things, everything I've always said about history changes, but that's what it should be like. So it should be very beautiful fall weather, and just, dress in layers, and one of the things that's really always good is, thin thermal underwear in case I'm always cold. So no one ever asks me, is it too hot in here? Because I'm always cold. So I will have more layers probably than any of the rest of you. But depending on how you are, the weather should be, I would say in the high 50s, low 60s in the daytime. It will get colder at night, but at nights, most of the time you'll be inside in the ship, enjoying the wonderful programs that we'll be offering for you.
There's another question, Sandy, again, this one for you, which is about people who maybe have mobility issues. In other words, they may be in a wheelchair or may have to use a walker or go slowly. Tell everyone, please, how that's accommodated.
Well, one of the things that's really wonderful about Ama and the hotel that will be in it as well is it's very mobility friendly. And in fact, I've had clients who need to use a mobile scooter. And I have a client that has his own scooter that he goes on Ama all the time because he can get it on and off the ship, and then he can scoot around wherever he's going. You can even rent a scooter if you need it while you're there. It has wheelchair access. I mean, they do officially say, the person who needs the assistant has to have a travel companion to help them. But I can tell you unofficially, the staff is very kind and very helpful for people who have things. And then when we're doing the tours, what we do is there's never a bunch of people. It's maybe 20 people to a bus. We're not one of these 40, 50 people on the tours. And they're also separated into active walkers, normal walkers, and slow walkers. So if someone got some mobility issues, they don't have to feel like they're holding everybody else back. Or if somebody's just a run and go kind of person, they don't have to feel like they have to slow down. Everybody can choose which group they want to be with, and everybody will feel comfortable because that group is geared towards your mobility issues. And if you decide that, maybe none of the tours are good for you that day, what's really wonderful about river cruising, because the rivers were the highway of Europe, that's how everything went around. And if you were in a small town in Europe, that's how you got goods and services. So these ships are small and they pull up into these little places. And if you just want to walk off the ship and sit in a cafe that morning and not do an excursion and explore on your own, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So there's lots of opportunities for people at all different levels. And like I said, if you're someone who's very active and you want to grab a bike and go, you can do that as well. So it really is, everybody's welcome, everybody's accommodated. It's really, and if you're traveling with someone that has a different ability than you, I have a client that her husband is very limited, she's not, and he's happy to do what he needs to do, and she goes off and they have dinner together, and it's perfect.
Sounds good. Sounds absolutely great. Now, here's a question that's going to shift over to Sherry and to Jean. What kind of repertoire, or if people want singing lessons, what kind of repertoire are you going to use? Now, notice my tone was like, what are you thinking here?
Oh, you're on mute.
Say again, Sherry. You have to unmute.
Is that really for us, or is it for Mark about repertory that we're going to use for the programs?
No, it sounded like for the singing lessons, but it's a great question, so we'll do both. Let's start with the singing lessons.
Well, Jean and I thought we would bring along like some Stephen Foster songs, and we'll bring along some hymn books, and the things that my voice teacher always... Pardon, Jean? Pardon?
George Gershwin, Cole Porter, anything you want, yeah.
And Gershwin, yes, definitely some Gershwin, definitely. Cole Porter, yeah, that kind of thing. The things that my voice teacher would have in his office, for newbies.
To be clear, I think if they want to perfect Happy Birthday, they can bring that too.
Great. Beautiful, Mark.
Even I can play Happy Birthday.
Or the Star Spangled Banner. Who can manage that? How about that? It's a goal.
I can't even sing that well. That's a hard one.
Just in case you're asked to sing it at a ball game, you want to be prepared. Mark,
Yes.
I always wanted the Adlers to go over and sing that at the Warriors game, and I never accomplished it.
All right, well, still possible. Mark, let's talk a little bit about the repertoire that we're going to work on, because this is a work in progress, but maybe, let's both answer that question.
Well, the repertoire is going to necessarily depend on what singers actually come on the travel experience with us. We want to tailor the music for them, but you can expect that it's going to be a selection of, it'll be some solos, arias, and as well as duets and perhaps some larger ensembles. And it's not, we haven't figured that out yet because we don't know which singers are coming yet, but it's going to be, a variety of an assortment of chestnuts, things that you may know if you are an opera lover, and if you're coming for the first time, they're soon to be your favorite things ever. And then perhaps some things that you don't know as well, but that you'll, over the course of the cruise, you'll of course hear many times and get to learn very well.
The other part of that too is that, as Sandy said earlier, we don't know yet the performance schedule at the two opera houses in Budapest and Vienna. And when we know those, our choices may be influenced by those as well, so that you're going into something that you may have already some experience about. So choosing a program is always a very important and delicate process that we match, as Mark's saying, the singers with what the audience knows and needs, and what we can really do in a short period of time in the best way possible. So Sandy, sorry, Mark, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and to be fair, we're all together for 10 days. I mean, if you have a question about the repertoire, and we're sitting out on the deck chairs, come ask your questions. Say why this piece or why that piece.
That's great.
So I mean, that's another benefit of us all spending all of this time together.
I love that. We had another question, Sandy, about food allergies and food dietary restrictions. Could you address that, please?
Yeah, any food, dietary restrictions, allergies, that's all can be accommodated. When you sign up and we do it, that all that will go into it, and the ship is very, very cautious about that. I have a client who is severely gluten. I mean, she gets immediately, and she was on it, and she was so thrilled because not only was everything done, but when her food was presented, it was presented on the same plate with the same kind of beautiful presentation. She said you could never tell that hers was a totally dietary, separate from the people that she was eating with. It was just amazing. So no worries about food allergies or food restrictions or preferences. The waiters who will wait on you will take very good care, and they will be very careful, and that they do everything possible. And the same thing when you're having, breakfast will be included at the hotel, and there'll be a big assortment, and you'll be able to choose anything that works for you. And if there's nothing there, all you have to do is ask. Nothing is too hard or too much to be done for you.
Yeah, thank you. The title of this unique travel experience is Opera Lovers Peek Behind the Curtain. But I want to tell you, I've had another experience, which is Travel Lovers Peek Behind the Curtain, because I've had a chance to see firsthand the multiplicity of details that Sandy is dealing with Ama, and they work so well together. They know each other for a long time. And I am just knocked out. I mean, I'm a production guy. Opera productions are very complicated. This really just takes the cake of complicated, but in a very sensitive way, as Sandy is saying, to each passenger. So we got a couple more questions before we stop. Let's see. One is Q&A. Any cruising overnight or just during the day? Sandy?
Some of it will be some of it will be at night, and some of it will be during the day. It just kind of depends. But you know, it's just kind of how we have the days set up and where we're going to be touring and stuff. So, you know, if you want more specific, just email me at operalovers@wemaketraveleasy.com, and I can go into more detail and tell you which days we'll be sailing at night and which days will be during the day.
Yeah, thanks. There's two questions I'll address myself about the singers and the rehearsals. One question was, will the singers who come and perform on the ship get their trip free? The answer is not only yes to that their expenses are covered, but also that we are going to also be giving them a stipend for their work, because we're all of the minds that singers need to also earn money. So that's also built into how the trip is planned. And the other questions, are rehearsals going on while during outings for some or most people? The way we constructed this originally, Sandy and I, was we wanted to really make a difference between when we're working on the opera program and when we have the ship program or the excursion program. So you don't have to feel you're in a conflict about choosing one or the other. The online excursions all sound absolutely wonderful, and we would, of course, want everybody to take advantage of it. So we will find the time on the ship, when we're all on the ship, to work on our program, and we're building that into the schedule. I think, let's see. We did have a comment. I traveled with a friend who was gluten-free, corn-free, meat-free, and dairy-free. The restaurant manager met with her every morning to go over the menu, and they usually prepared something special just for her. That's such a great comment. Thank you for offering that. So I think that's all we have questions that I see right now.
I did see a question about if someone wanted to stay before or after.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Add on. So if you're interested in spending more time in Budapest before the itinerary starts, or if you want more time in Vienna, or after Vienna you want to go to Prague or do any of that, we are a full service boutique travel company, so we can help you with any additional time that you want to spend, whether it's in Budapest, Vienna, or you want to go on from there, we can do that. We also will assist with air for people. Some people like to use their miles, but if you want us to use air, AMA has very good airfare pricing that we usually like to work with them on it. But if not, I have an air specialist, so we can get you quotes on flights. So we can take care of everything for you. All you have to do is have a good time.
There's another question about how many guests will be on the ship.
The maximum capacity of the ship is 160.
So our goal is to populate the whole ship. Why? Because then we'll have the most stupendous opera party ever. So if you're interested in coming on this trip, we want to super encourage you, get your friends to come on. You know, maybe Sandy, you say a few words about the chef's table. This is a really special thing.
Oh yeah, this is everyone will have a chance. What they do is there is a special restaurant away from the main dining room where it's I think it seats about 30 people at a seating, and there's there's chef there, and it's a tasting menu. And so everybody on the ship has an opportunity to dine once in there. Sometimes if there's enough time, you can do it twice. It is the same menu, for whatever sailing. So it's not going to be different every night, but it is a wonderful experience. It's special. It's there, and you get to see the chefs kind of preparing whatever. And again, if you have any food restrictions or allergies, they will accommodate that at the chef's table. So you don't have to feel like, oh, I can't go to the chef's table because what was that woman, gluten-free, corn-free, dairy-free, whatever. She can go to the chef's table as well.
But also, I think, and you may have said this, pardon me if I missed it, but if you're coming with other people, friends or family, you can have your chef's table experience together.
Oh,
That could be-
absolutely. You just sign, everybody gets to pick a night
Yeah.
that they want to do it. And so you get all your friends or your relatives and whoever you want to do it with. And, Sherry and Mark and Ben and Jean will probably be eating at the chef's table, maybe a little bit more frequently than everyone else, but you'll have a
Okay.
night where they'll be there. And the singers. So you'll be able to have dinner, break bread with them. I mean, how special is that?
It's very, very special. I'm sure you can tell, we absolutely love our work. And one of the things we love so much about our work is sharing it with other people. And we're designing this experience with Sandy to have this just amazing opportunity to share it. You may have questions after this, or if we've missed any, please know that you can get your questions answered right away by emailing directly to Sandy, operalovers@WeMakeTravelEasy. We look forward to hearing about you. Please take advantage of this bonus before November 30th. Cabins are getting booked and you want to have the best selection as possible. So I
Right.
want to thank all my cohorts. Sandy, was there something else you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, just remind everybody, there is the link to sign up in the chat. So you can just copy and paste. It'll take you right there. And you can see all the cabins and the pricing and whether you're double occupancy or single occupancy and the deposits, and all the information is there. So feel free to go ahead and let's get your cabin so we can all have a great time together.
Then before we close, we are performance people, and no performance is about the people who are on the screen. We have an amazing person helping us behind the scenes who looks like an opera house, but his name happens to be Sam. And we thank Sam. Thank you, Sam, very much for your great help in making this all happen. And thank you all for coming to this. There will be a recording of this. You'll get a notice about that. So if you have a friend who may not have been able to watch the webinar, send them the recording, get them to call Sandy. Let's keep making this happen. Thank you all for coming.
All right, thank you.
So, hope to see you there.